News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well. So I think this is quite a good one to talk about. North Texas man gets citation while test driving a vehicle. Wait. He gets a citation for driving without plates. Yes, driving without plates. Here's what happened. This is in WFA TV Channel 8 had this today. He walked into a Prosper car dealership. It's a Toyota. It's called Longo Toyota, I believe. Longo Toyota of Prosper. He walked in, and he test drove a truck, only to find himself with legal trouble. I mean, it's not funny if you're him. I'm not trying to laugh at the guy. It's just hysterical that this happened. But let me get into it. It's like, are you getting pulled over for what? You have no plates. I'm in a dealership. You're darn right, sir. Sir, we're going to tase you. Sit down. I'm in a dealership. I get tased over it, right? Tased for taking a car on a test drive. Story at 10 tonight. Anyway, this guy walked into a Prosper car dealership, Longo Toyota of Prosper. He goes in, and he takes a test drive. He's pulled over by the cops shortly after he began his test drive. And he's like, what the heck happened? The officer said, you don't have license plates on the back of your vehicle. Now, is it his responsibility to make sure there's license plates on the car when he's taking it for a test drive? You know what? He's driving it. I mean, you should probably look. I mean, you're the one driving the vehicle. So I'm not going to say you shouldn't even look at the car. If you're driving it, I mean, dude, if the bumper's dragging down the street, or if the taillight's broken or whatever. So you are driving. And, it's funny, even if the sales guy was in the car with him, he'd still get the ticket. He's driving. And here's why. Because this dealership, according to the Prosper Police, continues to not put the temporary plates on these cars, and they've continued to pull them over, and they've apparently have warned them a bunch of times, like, screw it, we're going to ticket whoever's driving. I don't blame the cops. I feel bad for the guy, but I don't blame the cops. He stopped me, asked for my driver license, said the reason why I stopped you because I don't have a license plate in the back, Mr. Roca explained. The innocent, the person that, not innocent, but the man who didn't know what was going on this. And the ticket was operating a vehicle without license plates. He said this has been going on with these dealers. We've been getting on these guys for doing that, the officer said. He said in order for us to make the dealership abide, we're going to start citing their customers. That's all they can do. And you know what? The best way to make a business comply with the law is either to shut them down, hit them in the pocketbook, and if the customer has to pay for your willful negligence, your willfully breaking the law, then that's what they got to do. You'll start. You think this dealership's going to ever have this happen again with them being in the WFA TV Channel 8 today? You think anybody's going to take a test drive over there for a little bit? My gosh. You go over there, I'd at least make sure the dang plates are on there and they're in the and it's not expired. Woo! Oh, I should say not just woo, but woo, woo, woo. That too. And woo, as in wow. What do you think about this? Are you okay with the fact that the cops are ticketing this quote unquote innocent ticketing innocent test drivers? Now, they're not innocent because they're driving the vehicle, but it's almost like they're innocent, right? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. Are you okay with the cops ticketing innocent test drivers, or at least quote-unquote innocent test drivers? I literally don't have a problem with this. I mean, you might be aggravated by this, annoyed by this at the cops, but if they tell the dealership, the cops are saying in Prosper that they have warned them, and they're doing it to them all the time. So we're cracking down. Ain't going to happen again, is it? Right? Do you want people driving around with no license plates on their car? We saw one or two of those all the time, right? You see I saw one the other day. I'm like, what the heck is this? Get them. Is that a stolen car? Probably is. We don't live in, this isn't Nambia or, the Congo or Yemen. You're going to have your plates registered or you're going to get stopped and ticketed appropriately. So the officer said to make the dealerships abide. They keep doing this. We've been telling them to do it. We're going to start citing the customers. The Prosper Police Department confirmed the violation with WFAT TV Channel 8. Failure to properly display dealer tags on test-driven vehicles is a violation of the law, can pose safety risk, potentially resulting in enforcement action by law enforcement. On a state vehicle, whoever's driving is responsible for the action. It's the law. And so it is the driver's problem. So the dealership is Longo. The general manager confirmed the event. Dun, dun, dun! With Channel 8. Safety is a top priority of Longo of Prosper. Longo Toyota of Prosper. We are dedicated to providing a secure environment for everyone. Therefore, we're putting a bubble around the car. No, I'm just kidding. Our community is very important to us. We have been active supporters, blah, blah, blah. We became aware of it, actively working to resolve it. So do you think this is going to be a problem again? No, I have no problem with it. And if Longo Toyota wants to win this man's business, not only should they pay for it, they should pay for a representative to go there on his behalf. Can you believe this? What if you have to pay anything? They should pay for everything. They should pay for an attorney. Honestly, they really should. They should pay the attorney's fees, which is probably $200 to $500, or maybe even up to $1,000, and they should pay every single fee this man has, and they should show up with the attorney and with this man, and they should throw themselves on the mercy of the court for the man and say, please, if you want to put the fine on me, the general manager should go with the lawyer and pay for the lawyer and pay for everything for this man. And the man probably has to go to plead his case, but really it should be the attorney. And the general manager should go with and say, Your Honor, I'd like to. My client would like to speak because he would like this. The GM would like to speak, and you say, I'm sorry. Please don't ticket this man. Please give us a fine at Longo Toyota. We'll pay for everything. We're paying for this man's thing. I am sorry. If they want, and they should give this guy, they should probably give him $5,000 off the cost of the vehicle. Like, let's say the truck he wanted to drive. Assumedly, I'm assuming he can afford to pay for the truck. Good business is this. Good business is following up with WFA TV channel. If I'm the general manager of this dealership, I'll tell you what I do. Because as a person in the media for 20, I don't know, man. I started working in the media, in television and radio in 1995 as an intern. And the best way to handle this is to follow up with the dealership after you talk with the customer and say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pay for your lawyer. The general manager should call him. I'm going with you. I'd like to go with you on the appearance if it's okay with you. And I would like to, if it's okay with you and the attorney and the judge, I'd like to be able to speak and say, this is my fault. And I apologize. And I'd like any fines or penalties directed at me. And that's exactly what he should do. That's what a leader does. And he takes all the hits. And then also I would tell this man, let me just make up a number. Let's say the profit margin on this truck that he wants is, I'm going to make up a number. I don't know what it is or what it could be. Nobody does. You don't know what kind of car it is, if it's new, used, whatever. How many miles, condition. Let's say it's $10,000 profit on that one vehicle. I would cut it in half to $5,000. I would actually say what's the best. I would whatever the best price you would sell it for to an average person is. I would cut the profit from that point in half. So if the profit on that truck would be decent, healthy, and feasible for the dealership on a normal sale, let's say instead of $10,000, they cut it down to $7,000. Okay, I would cut that in half to $3,500. I might even consider giving it to him for cost, because what you want is a man that'll go to your dealership for the rest of his life and his family. And you want a man, and then you want to follow up. You want a public relations person to direct you, and you handle it personally, the general manager, with a public relations person not doing anything publicly for you. You do the public. They coach you. And you go to WFA TV Channel 8. I'd like to follow up with you. We have adjudicated the case. And, once you agree, you go, we're going to be doing this. And the dealership can discuss this with the customer, and say, I'm so happy. They've gone way above and beyond. Don't disclose the price, but tell them either giving me an incredible deal on the vehicle, I will be buying it, and they're going to be taking care of me. Thank you. So you want a story following up with the dealership being a hero and giving the man the deal of his life, where you don't lose a dime, but you don't make a dime, and he's extremely happy, and you will take care of all the attorney's costs. You have a story just this bad, now even better. And then if this dealership ever makes a mistake, that you will be made whole and then some. That is how you get publicly good PR. If they keep this quiet and they don't help this man the way I've described, they lose, lose, lose. If they do it the right way like I described, they win, and they make one customer for life and his whole family and all of his friends and family, and they get on the news and they look like a hero who, when they mess up, they're going to own them. That's a company I'd want to do business with, and that's what I'm sticking to. Your thoughts at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. I can't imagine a grander thought than I just gave, but your thoughts at 800-288-9227. Are you okay with the cops ticketing innocent test drivers? And how do you think this dealership in Prosper should handle this situation? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. And coming up next at 8:18 is Kamala. Her attack on DeSantis for not returning your call in the pre-hurricane, has totally backfired and failed, in my opinion. We're going to talk about that, along with Elon Musk riding to Biden's hurricane rescue. And also, I want to talk about, is it really global warming and climate change that made these horrific hurricanes in the past several weeks? Oh, I can't wait to get into that. Coming up next at 10:18 on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. This is quite a cool story to talk about. A guy does a test drive at a Toyota dealership in Prosper, and he gets pulled over right away, and the cop's like, hey, man, this dealership and the dealerships around here continue to not put dealer plates on the car or temporary plates while they go out for test drives, and we have to ticket the driver, and we've told them, and they're not listening, so we're nailing people. So the number one thing is, are you okay with the cops doing this, ticketing innocent? Well, they're kind of innocent. It's still their responsibility, the driver of the car, And then how do you think the dealership should handle this? I've told you what my thoughts are. Tell me what yours are. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Let us go to Graydon in Grapevine. Hello, Graydon. What do you got? WBAP.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Welcome.
I sold cars at a dealership years ago when I first got out of service for a year.
Thank you for your service.
And,
cool. Mm-hmm.
I agree with you 100% on that. And that's the only way that dealership, now that it's on the news, is going to be able to save any business. It'll be worth them to practically give that car away and have that guy do a follow-up story.
So you like my plan of they pay for the attorney, the GM goes to the court and asks if he could speak and tell it's his fault and pay all the fines, and then sell the car to the guy for no profit. You can tell him we're waiving all our fee, every fee and every profit margin to take care of you on this deal. We'd like to keep you for life. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I agree 100%.
Okay.
Something else I learned when I was doing that from the GM is most people don't know. You buy a brand new car, it changes hands 5 times in, say, 15 years. By the time that happens, in between fuel tax, sales tax, permits, plates, inspections, what happens is the government makes more money than the manufacturer of the car and the dealer. Wow. And that's just the truth. A lot of people don't think about how much money we give to the government, but it's just true.
All right, my man. And you don't have a problem with the cops ticketing these people because it's like, well, you are driving and it doesn't have a license plate on it.
No, I'm a professional driver. I've got to do a pre-trip inspection before I drive anywhere every day.
Now, these are test drivers, but still, I mean, if there's no plates on the car, you really should notice that. Okay, great call. Appreciate your thoughts. I'm glad you like my little idea.
All right, thank you.
Take care, my brother. Thanks. Randy, Terrell, hello. WBAP.
Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hello.
Got a better suggestion on this.
Good.
I think the driver is somewhat of an innocent victim here, and I think the better way to handle this, it's an ongoing deal, that they should have give the driver a warning and impounded the vehicle.
You know, I wonder if they could do that. Well, what if they cannot do that under Texas law? Like, what if the offense of no plates is not great enough to impound the vehicle? Then I think you still got to ticket the driver because they're driving and they didn't look at the plates.
I don't believe you can drive an unregistered vehicle on the streets of Texas.
I don't think it has to be registered with the state if you are a dealership. It's probably under the registration of the dealership. They probably, I don't know how that works, actually. We'd have to talk to somebody like our last caller who worked at the dealership. My guess is, as a dealership, there's a legal thing where you either have it registered or it's the state law might say as long as you haven't sold it and it's on the lot, you know what I mean? And you do this dealership who is licensed, I would assume, or something has a certain tax or licensor. At that point, I think maybe they don't have to have it registered until they sell it. That might be law. You know what I mean? So you can't probably impound the car. It
could be. Maybe an officer could call in and clarify this.
Yeah, or a dealership. Our last gentleman. I don't think you can impound a car for that offense. It's a citation. It's a ticket. I don't even think it's a misdemeanor crime. But I could be wrong. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, Chris.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. I mean, if they could impound the car, I'm sure they would, and I think that would be great, and I would agree with you. But that, unfortunately, I don't think it makes sense how that's probably not going to happen. I mean, dealerships just throw on templates that don't even match the car, so I don't think you have to register it as a dealership. My guess is, when you buy the car, whoever sells it to you, whether it be the manufacturer or whatever, I'm sure there's some kind of a law that the state that you just enter in the VIN and the state knows that car is not registered because it's under a dealership trying to sell it right now. I'm sure there's something like that is my guess. But what do I know? I'm just an expert on the radio who is... this is rocket science, what I do. It's brain surgery, so I clearly know what I'm talking about and everything. Kamala is attacking DeSantis on not returning her final calls. Her calls, with the hurricane. It's a total failure on her end. We'll talk about that. DeSantis takes one last swipe when asked about it on CNBC this morning and at a press conference. Kamala, not only that, but also Elon is riding to the rescue for Biden and Kamala as the Biden-Kamala administration is trying to crush him with Starlink. And then also... is global warming or climate change causing all these larger hurricanes? I cannot wait to get into that with you next as well on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3 at 10:33. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, 800-288 WBAP is our number. News Talk 820 WBAP. Now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play some audio of Governor DeSantis in a moment, and he really destroys Kamala. In my opinion, she has lost her battle with DeSantis over not returning her call. I mean, I'm not trying to, but she does not. DeSantis and Joe Biden have a wonderful relationship in this storm. They really do. Joe has been insanely praising of him. He said he's doing a great job. I told him if there's anything you need, I gave him my cell phone number. That's what Joe said. They said, how is he handling it with you? How's he doing? And he praised him. And then again yesterday, he was asked, how's he handling it? How's he doing? He said, great. Over the top, praising DeSantis. Okay? And then he was asked the sucker question, should he return Kamala's call? He says, all I can say is that he's doing a great job and we have a great relationship. In other words, I'm not. That's political. Is what it means. If he was wrong, he would say something. And of course, he's insanely a political opportunist as well. And even he knew not to do that. This woman's instinct was wrong. Her leadership is poor. She feels inadequate and ineffective in this hurricane, and like third person on the wheel, or whatever it is, third wheel. She feels odd man out. And so she did artificially insert herself. Shame on her. And NBC News coming out and saying reportedly that DeSantis isn't returning her calls. That's her camp. NBC News doesn't find out just tap her phones or know. Somebody tells them that. And even if somebody in your camp leaked that and you didn't want that out, you say, we're not commenting on any calls or anything. This fool trying to artificially insert herself decided to attack him. This hurricane that was supposed to be one of the most massive, deadliest ones, period. Thank God it wasn't nearly as bad as it was going to be. But this woman is playing freaking politics 24 hours before this. What is she doing? Does anybody think this was a good idea? How dare she? I'll play DeSantis thing in a moment, but I wanted to first ask you about that. Who do you think? Do you think Kamala lost her fight over DeSantis and not calling her back? Why do you think she chose to go after him in public as a massive hurricane approached? So do you think she lost her fight with DeSantis on not calling her back? And do you think she chose to go after him in public as a massive hurricane? Why do you think she chose to go after him in public as a massive hurricane approached? And I want to throw this in again because this is an important one to get into with you. Who do you think would do a better job of handling these catastrophes, Kamala or Trump? All right. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Do you think Kamala lost her fight with DeSantis over not calling her back? And why do you think she chose to go after him, right as the massive hurricane approached? And who do you think would do a better job of handling these catastrophes, Kamala or Trump? 800-288-WBAP. Chime in right now. We got 6 minutes to put you on, so you got time to call and we'll pop you on right away. I mean, Joe Biden didn't answer the question and said he's doing a great job. You know why? Because Joe Biden was smart enough to know that there could be 30 or 40 or 50 dead people within 24 to 48 hours. And he doesn't want to say anything that could reflect badly on him, his party, or his chances of Kamala winning. Because he super hates Trump, as we know, like super deeply hates him, like almost more than most Democrats do. So I think that he was smart enough to know I'm not going to attack him or say anything bad about him when there could be 50, 100, 500 people dead. I mean, we were expecting, when we were told, and everybody was told, and Joe Biden said, this is catastrophic. This is going to be massive. The reports that the mainstream weather people were saying, I'm not saying they were liberal leftists or anything, but they were, weatherman crying about how bad this looked. And then also, you had North Carolina, we saw horrifying things. We're still learning more. 11 members of the same North Carolina family were killed in a mudslide. They found them today. We'll get to that in a little bit. But let's go to your call right now at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. We've got 3 lines open, 5 minutes left to take your call on this before we take a quick pause. And then we're going to get into the climate change aspect of this. This is going to be great. And I'll play you a DeSantis thing in a moment. But let's go to Gregory first in South Lake. I'm sorry. It was like on 2 different lines, South and then Lake. I'm like, South Lake, what? In South Lake. Hello, Gregory, WBAP.
Hey, Chris. I don't even know if there's any evidence that Kamala actually called DeSantis, but I think this is knives out for Kamala now because Joe is sinking her with this. And she's picking a fight that that is just stupid.
Right.
And she's bringing a knife to a gunfight with DeSantis.
She's like bringing a rock to a machine gun fight. Really, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, her level of stupidity is showing more and more every day. I saw part of this kind of fake briefing call she had where she was trying to act get out, and it was like, and she's telling people, "Don't feed me questions." I mean, how stupid do you have to be to do this? This is, and by the way, there's no reason for her to call DeSantis because, unfortunately, Biden is still president. He's still in charge, theoretically.
Yeah.
And so this is just all stupidity. And by the way, just because you only get to call in on one thing, the climate thing.
Well, you can chime in on something, but let me play. You were telling me you wonderfully mentioned Kamala saying, "Don't feed me questions." I didn't. Listen, I'm going to play that right now. It's amazing. If you don't understand, I just retweeted this so you can see it yourself. I just retweeted it right now on my Twitter feed at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show. ChrisKrok. And here she is saying to her staff in her earpiece, she covers her mouth and talks on a hot mic in the middle of a live press conference on C-SPAN with all the NOAA weather people. Let's play that right now. Here we go.
Flood. We really got to watch those areas and those communities. So it takes quite a while for that water to drain.
Thank you very much.
She said, "What's a live broadcast?"
I have a question for you. You mentioned words matter.
Did she say? Yeah, she said live broadcast. Let me play it again.
Flood. We really got to watch those areas and those communities. So it takes.
Yeah, she said live broadcast.
Yeah.
It says, and this is it says Kamala. This is from the feed on Trump War Room. Kamala can be heard telling an aide who is feeding her questions that it's a live broadcast before immediately asking the question. Oh my gosh, somebody's telling her questions in her ear.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's all theater. It's all theater, and she just. I mean, this is just showing what Trump has been saying all along. She is dumber than a bag of hammers, and has no. She is a sock puppet.
Sock puppet.
She is a sock puppet for whatever cabal is in the deep state is running things behind.
Tell me real fast, what is the climate change thing on your end? I'm going to play the DeSantis bite when I come out of the break. He literally goes into the last time they had a hurricane of this size, the deadliest hurricanes. And it goes back to the 1800s and 1930s and 1800s.
Yeah, that's
same thing. Worse ones. Yeah.
Look here. The story. Basically, look. Anybody who believes that carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide or whatever it is killing the planet and we got to get it all the way down, forget it. That's all BS. If you really do the research, if you look into the presentations that have been made by the former head of Greenpeace, by the guy who started the Weather Channel and everything else. This whole climate change thing is a scam to control people. The climate is controlled by the sun's interaction with the earth and the magnetic field interactions, the position and tilt of the earth relative to the sun. We're going to have another ice age at some point in time. We've been in a global cooling period since the medieval warm period. This is all BS, and it's funneling money. It's another way to scam tax money into these green energy projects that don't really produce any energy.
Well, I agree with you, although the consensus from that's what the left says, consensus, but the consensus among honest scientists and climatologists and people who research this is that, sure, the planet might be going up on average a half degree or a degree every, I don't know what it is, 100 years or several years, or whatever, but it's never going to be enough to affect beyond normal adjustments, regular modern adjustments like air conditioning conditioning, and heat does not kill nearly as many people, nowhere near as many people as cold does. Cold kills a tremendous amount more, insanely more than heat. So if anything, warming is better than cooling, and it's natural things happen, and it's way beyond our control. We cannot control any of it, and anything we do is dwarfed by the insane dumping of carbon dioxide and monoxide into the atmosphere from China, India, Russia.
Yeah, but you got to remember something, okay? The carbon dioxide is 0.00004, I think, percent of the atmosphere. Okay, if it's like 400 parts per million. If you took it down to 150 parts per million, all the plant life would die.
Yeah, it's all about to me. It's all God's design and our position to the sun, as you said, and many other things. I appreciate your great call, Gregory. Coming up next. Speaking of climate change hoax, you're going to hear DeSantis rebut that in a brilliant way because he's a real smart, I think it was Yale dude, but doesn't act like it. So his mind is like that. So you'll hear him rebut with anybody that says about climate change with facts out of Florida based on everything that's been going on since the 1800s with hurricanes and storms. But also from Bjorn Lomborg, an incredible journalist who writes on climate in the Wall Street Journal and New York Post and many other places. Coming up next on the Chris Kroc Show. And Elon Musk rides to the Biden's hurricane rescue from the Journal today as well. Oh, and 11 members of a North Carolina family killed. We're going to go boom, boom, boom coming up next. Plus your call. And the questions, full questions are, who do you think would do a better job of handling these catastrophes, Kamala or Trump? Do you think Kamala lost her fight over DeSantis not calling her back? Why do you think she chose to go after him in public as a massive hurricane approached? And do you believe our climate is changing, thereby creating worsening weather conditions? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. That's coming up in 2 minutes at 8:49 on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.
Moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. There's Kamala attacking DeSantis, but I want to do, there's another one from CNBC today with Ron DeSantis, and I might have to, I don't know where it went, it was in my file, I might have to play it off my Twitter feed, which is there too. Yeah, okay, let me play it for you. It's already edited up for me. I just have to pull it. Sometimes they don't make it all the way into the cutting room floor. They don't make it into the file. Here it is. Ron DeSantis is going back after Kamala today. Here we go.
Hey, Governor, could you just help clear something else up that happened earlier this week? And we were actually debating it at this table, so I got to ask. There was some praise that came your way from President Biden and said that they had spoken, you had spoken. Then there was this brouhaha over Vice President Harris apparently reaching out to you and not taking the call, and this whole thing, accusations that this had all become politicized. Can you just speak to what happened there?
I am working with the President of the United States. I'm working with the Director of FEMA. I'm marshaling all my state assets. We've been doing this now nonstop for over 2 weeks between Helene and this. And so if there's anything I can leverage to benefit my people, I'm going to do it. The fact of the matter is they put out a story saying I didn't even know she was trying to reach me, but she has no role in this process. And I've been dealing with these storms in Florida under both Trump and Biden. Neither of them ever politicized it. And in fact, all the storms I've dealt with under this administration, although I've worked well with the president, she has never called in Florida. She has never offered any support. So what she's doing is she's trying to inject herself into this because of her political campaign. So as the governor here who's leading this, I don't have time for those games. I don't care about her campaign. Obviously, I'm not a supporter of hers, but she has no role in this process. And so I'm working with the people I need to be working with. We're leveraging the resources I need to be leveraging. And for her to try to say that my focus should be on catering to her rather than worrying about my own people just shows she doesn't understand what it means to respond to these natural disasters.
I couldn't agree more. There's another one that I don't have time to play for you. He goes into the storms and every storm on record with climate. You know what it was? There was a press conference today in front of the beach, and it's too long to play for you. I'll just play a quick 30 seconds or so for you. Ready? Global warming.
Tornadoes?
Yeah, it's increasing tornadoes.
I think you could go back and find tornadoes for all of human history for sure. And especially, Florida, how does this storm rate in kind of the history of storms? I think it hit with a barometric pressure of, what was it, about 950 millibars when it hit, which I think if you go back to 1851, there's probably been 27 hurricanes that have had so the lower the barometric pressure, the stronger it is. I think there have been about 27 hurricanes that have had lower barometric pressure on landfall than Milton did, and of those, 17 occurred, I think, prior to 1960. And the most powerful hurricane on record since the 1850s in the state of Florida occurred in the 1930s, the Labor Day hurricane. Barometric pressure on that was 892 millibars.
All right, there's more. We'll finish this off tomorrow around this time. I also want to get into the climate change thing, how it's a hoax. I got some really good stuff on that, and Elon Musk. We're going to follow that up with part 2 on this. You'll hear more people go crazy with climate. It's all a lie. I promise you on that.